welcome to Jesus Talk, real life Jesus Talk here on Real Life Restoration Project. I'm Pastor Dan Brenbro. Today we're going to talk about getting jobs or interviewing specifically, and we're going to talk about one of the things I hear a ton about is I didn't get hired because of this or I didn't get hired because of that. Most of the time, it's not that this or that. In fact, I had a guy the other day say, you know what, I went to this place and they're supposed to be felony friendly and I have 9 felonies and I didn't get the job. I think we get confused on what that means maybe. Doesn't mean the qualification for the job is having felonies. It means they can overlook felonies, but you still have to qualify for the job. That means you have to go to the interview, you have to interview well, and you have to have the ability to do the job. And so, and if you have those things, and you have those things better than other people applying, the felonies will not be held against you. In fact, what they're saying is they're going to hold you equal as everybody that's there, where some places won't do that. So today we're going to talk about, so then if that's not the case, if felonies aren't the problem, or if tattoos aren't the problem, or whatever isn't the problem, then what is the problem? You know, most times the reason is that I don't interview well. I don't really understand how to interview. I don't really know what's going on. I personally have hired about 1,000 people in my career in retail America and interviewed at least 5,000. Many people on my profile page are people that I've worked with and hired over the years. Sometimes when we go to do an interview, we aren't prepared. And I can tell you, most people who don't get the job lose the job in the first 3 minutes of an interview because at some point they blow the interview. Mostly, almost every time, not because they don't even have the qualifications or they have some other negative thing against them, because they don't know how to interview. They can't portray the confidence that they can do the job, and so they can't make the person, the interviewer, feel that confidence and feel confident in hiring them. So the fact is, you know, the tattoos didn't keep you in most cases from getting a job. Your past didn't. They probably knew about that. In fact, I will bet they did know about that before they even brought you into the interview. Today we're going to try to do in 30 minutes what is just a kind of a topical overview of what's an 8-hour program. In fact, a friend of mine, we're going to talk about it in a minute, Dick Stroh, does a very similar thing, and they take a week to really break down each piece. So we're going to go through each topic topically. If you want to know more, just let me know about any section, and we'll do a video just for you on that. At some point, we'll be doing videos anyway. We're going to add this to our series right now about how can I be a Christian at work. And last week we talked about some of the things, and next week we'll talk about being the very best employee. But right now we're going to talk about how to get the job. The key to getting the interview, number one, how to get the interview. The key to getting the interview is starts way before the resume, way before it starts. Really can start at any time, but definitely must start before you send a resume. In fact, if you start to do this process I'm going to explain to you after you apply for the job, it's really too late. See, most places have an HR department, and if you're applying for, especially an upper management position, the HR people are going to go deep into your past. But for most jobs that we apply for, we're applying for labor positions or junior management positions, or like a retail manager position or something like that, or maybe even a line level position. In any case, on those positions, those are hired generally by the supervisor or the manager of that store, and they're the ones looking at your resume, and they have different criteria. Although the company sets a criteria, they many times will look at it from a different view. They're still going to do the background checks, and they're still going to do the references. But they also might do some extra things. They might say call some people and say, do you know this guy? In both departments, the HR department and the store manager, more than likely will take a quick peruse of your social media pages, whether that's company policy or not. They want to know a little more about you. So, depending on the size of the business, there might be some other people in this process, but you can be sure whoever decides to give you the call and for the interview is going to be doing some kind of background check, and especially that social media thing. So, we want to prepare your public perception. That's hard to say. We want to do that, and it's fairly easy, but it has to be done before we start. So most companies require that they call the reference before they even give you a call. So let's start there. We have to sometimes we just write down references of a relative or an old boss or pastor because we really like them and we think they really like us. But you know what? We really need to know for sure. So the number one thing is when they ask for references, you give references that you know will give you a good reference. Not because you think they will, because you talk to them and you ask them. You go through the process that this person's going to call. They're going to ask them things. You might even start the request to the person you're going to ask to do the reference in that can I put you down for reference? And if I do, what will you say about me? And then you might remind them of some of your good qualities if they don't come up with them. And once you're done with that conversation, you should have agreed on basically what's going to be said. And then you can be confident when they call that reference that they're going to get a good reference. No, I've called so many references that would say, oh, really? That person's looking for work? I can't believe that. Or have some terrible story about them, which ends the process before the prospect, before you even know that we were looking at you for a job, because once you get a bad reference, it's pretty hard to go past that. That's a personal, somebody that knows you well. So although most likely the HR person will call the second reference just to kind of verify that thought trap. So the next thing we need to consider are your social media accounts. It's so important. See, social media is a place we just puke out our daily lives into our different accounts, especially on Facebook, but not limited to Facebook. There are some crazy things out there on Instagram, on X, which used to be Twitter, and all those different places right now. And it doesn't disappear. Even when you erase it, people can do searches. There's a way to do a search and look at a page at a certain period of time if your profile is public. That's any of those profiles. So some of those crazy things we have out there, like our political stance, how we believe on this party or that party, and what we believe in people, and then sometimes we go into some crazy rants. So you got to really be careful, because all of this is the only thing they know about you. So when they're doing this background check, then they have that first personal contact. Then they start to look through your social media accounts. So if your last 5 posts were because you were so mad at something happened at a restaurant, or somebody jilted you, or you're having a bad interaction with some other people, and that's all they know about you. And so they don't know you're a good person, and you give money to your church, and you do social work and service work. They haven't even got a chance to get to that part. All they know is about if you're doing these crazy rants, or you're posting bad pictures, you're flipping somebody off. That's really one of the big things out there. Your profile picture needs to be a good picture of you. So when they look, the first thing they see is a good picture of you. Not if you're flipping somebody off or something like that. It might be funny. It might even be a good picture of you doing that. But hey, that represents juvenile behavior. That's stuff that kids do. People who are looking to hire you are looking for you to come to their company and represent their company well, in addition for you to do a job. And they certainly aren't looking to hire people they're going to be playing around and having a juvenile mental state, their emotional state is at that level. Again, the picture may not mean anything to you, and it might be funny, but you have to remember these people don't know anything about you. If that's the first picture, or there's a ton of people out there looking for love, and it seems like the longer in between time that they're looking for love, the less clothes they wear, men and women. In fact, if you flip to a page and the guy's got a profile picture with no shirt on, he's looking for a date. And certainly many times on a female's page, you see cleavage down to your knees, or whatever that is, or the talk on the page is kind of I don't want to say slutty, but that's a good word. Remember that if these people can you see your page and they see that talk, that's who they think you are because that's all they know about you. So my recommendation is you go back and you clean that up. And you need to go back because when I was searching social media pages, the first thing I did, if it's 2002, I'm putting in 1999. And if it's 2023, I'm going to put 2021. And I'm going to come forward from there because I know that a lot of people already know they need to clean up their page. But generally, people want to do the work to clean up past about a year or whatever. So in any case, or post enough stuff to push last year way back. Very, very easy. You can try it on your own page. There's another way to do that, especially on Facebook. You can just lock your profile. Now, when you do have a locked profile, it does send a message, one or two messages. Either you're a very private person, and that's a good thing, maybe, or maybe not, or that you're trying to hide something. So, and then you have to try to lock all your profiles. Then it gets a little harder because Instagram still shows your messages, just doesn't let you dig in. So the best way is just to go back and delete things that aren't good. And also, we need to go back and take a look at we need to clean up our past. So how do you prepare for the interview? Part of that is what we just said in number one, but also we need to make sure any place that our name might be. So if we have some court dates or some things out there, and we need to go see if we can either get those removed or we need to get out in front of it. And we'll talk more in depth in the actual class about how to do that. You can clean up your negative past jobs, even though, if you're a felon and or if you're going for a job and trying to get a break after having some bad time, they might expect that there might be some negative history. But you want to be able to clean up as much of that as, and the closer it is, like if it's last week or 6 months ago, you need to go and you should have made these amends anyway as part of a good program and part of being, if you're in a church and you're trying to do the right thing, we need to go fix those things we can in the past, or at least clean our side of the street on that. And if you do that, that saves you a lot of trouble because not only do they call your personal references, they're going to be calling your past jobs. Well, your past jobs can't tell them things like you were fired or if you robbed them or you were an employee, a terrible employee. They can and they will give negative information in such a way that the HR person can get it without actually being told. So keep that in mind. So on that same thing in the long class, we talk about how to actually make those phone calls and see what your past employers are saying about you. And if they are saying negative things that's against the law, how to get that taken care of. And we'll go back and talk about all that more in depth. Trying to stay on this 30 minutes, we get to how to dress. We want to believe that people don't make decisions on first impressions, but they say you're going to make a first impression one time, and that's certainly true. And if it's a bad first impression, it's really, really hard to correct that. So what do we want to make sure we look good when we go into the presentation, and when we set up for the interview. When we take our profile picture, we probably want somebody to get a good headshot. I know a guy if you need that done. We need all this stuff to really look good, set up good, be professional, and then when we get to the interview, we need to be at the height of our game. We need dressed to the nines. I mean, not dressed for a party, but be dressed very professional, no matter what the job is. So let's say, 15 years ago, in different generations, that as soon as you walked in the door, that was one impression, and that was a big part of your interview. Now today, HR people are told, ignore what people are wearing, and young people can do that pretty easily. If you have a little older person, or if you have somebody that's been around a while, even if they're a younger person, it's really, really hard not to make that call when somebody comes in and they have, shorts on or tore up jeans or wearing sandals or haven't combed their hair or have poor hygiene or even maybe have a little odor. Because today's generations, the HR people are told and teach have a different concept of how they look and how they interact. And that's part of the culture. But when you get down to to work for them, they're going to have to change that. Some places you can't have facial earrings, you can't have different color hair, you have to wear certain kind of clothes. And so it's hard to get past if you can't do any of those things on the job and you show up like that, how you won't try to do that. And then remember, these are the people that generally have to take care of the problems. So they want to they're trying to fulfill the solution, hire a solution to a problem they already have. They don't have an employee to do a certain function. They don't want to hire an employee that then winds up tying up all their time in problems and wearing the wrong clothes, coming in late, not looking well to represent the company. So you want to look your very, very best. So it's my recommendation that you dress like you were, you dress like you're going to church in the old days. You wear a suit. If you're a guy, you're going to wear a jacket. You're going to wear a vest or at least a white shirt. Definitely have a tie on, even if you have it loose. You have dress pants and dress shoes. For a female, you're going to wear, a business dress or a business outfit, a skirt and a blouse or a business suit type thing. You look well, have on dress shoes, not a lot of jewelry, a lot of makeup. In either case, not any heavy colognes or any of those kind of things. And it's incredible if you carry something in your hand, either if you can't get an attaché case at Goodwill or someplace, get a like a daytime or something and carry that. It just looks professional and gives a really, really good first impression. If you have face tattoos and all those kind of things, again, they probably knew that. They probably looked at your page. They probably saw a profile picture of you. And that's not a thing so much anymore, or neck tattoos or those kind of things. However, that in combination with the bad interview is going to take you out of the running. That in combination with a good interview is going to put you in the top of the running. And so many HR people want to be so diverse. So they want to hire a diversity of colors of people, a diversity of cultures of people, and they certainly want to hire a diversity of backgrounds. And it's a great testament to a company that can hire somebody from the recovery community or from the that have recovered from being in jail or coming back out from there, and they can be part of their recovery and returning them to life. So again, those kind of things don't matter. But if you go in in a white beater and tore up jeans and old tennis shoes, and you have tattoos and those things, you're reinforcing the stereotype, and we want to break that, and so you can be the person that does that. I know women and men both with all types of body art and tons of ink and again neck tattoos and face tattoos that have such great personalities and are very positive and live a positive life and don't speak thug every day. They represent in our Christian community a good Christian person in the culture that we live in a person that you would want to be associated with. And so when they get to that interview, it literally all those negative things that we think are holding us back are transparent because our personality, I say the Holy Spirit, comes out and sets the precedent. So that's one last thing we want to take a look at, and before we move in. The way we speak is so important. We want to make sure, especially if we've been on the street a while, we haven't been into work a while, or we worked at a place that was a different kind of culture, and there's a lot of cussing and a lot of stuff going on. Most places don't tolerate that anymore, and they don't have the work environment needs to be professional, whether it's a warehouse or it's a doctor's office. And so the way you speak is very important. So if you've gotten into the habit of using cuss words and a lot of slang and those kind of things, you need to practice before you get to the interview of getting those things out. So, if you call people, I don't know what it is, dude or whatever, and you're going to an interview, it should be sir or ma'am, and just to show respect. Even though maybe dude doesn't show disrespect, it certainly elevates your emotional and your intelligence to present, speak in in a higher vernacular. So in any case, want to make sure you do that. And it's kind of hard if you've been doing this other stuff for a while. So you want to enlist your friends and say, hey, you know what? I'm trying to quit talking that way. I want to speak a little better. I want to quit cussing. And for me, it's hard to catch me because I just do it all the time. Let me know when I'm doing that so I can do that. Same thing with my dress. And after a while, being hanging around the house for a long time, sometimes, I wear the same shirt a couple days or the same pair of pants for a week, whatever. That's kind of not normal. And so we want to make sure we have clean clothes on every day, a clean shirt. When I shave, if we're a guy, shave our face, make sure our hair's combed, whoever we are. If we're a female, we don't have legs, walk into a appointment with super hairy legs or unkept. Not that that's a good or bad thing. It's just, remember, we're making an impression. And so we want to make sure we look our best. So if that's your natural look and that's the, you feel like that's fine, then, you need to, and it is fine because you make that decision. You just need to know that they're making an opinion. And so I always ask this question because I already get a little feedback on the hairy leg thing, or guys like that 3-day look on the beard. They say, I said, well, you know what? If you were going out with the most beautiful woman in the world, or the most handsome guy in the world, would you look like that? And if your answer is truly yes, you don't have to tell me, because when you say yes or no, then you know what the real answer is. Then you can go for it. So one of the things to do, you want to practice also what to say to the interview questions. And you ask me, well, how do I know what the interview questions are? And that's actually kind of simple. Almost all interview questions are fairly close and the same at established companies. So you can get on the internet. In the long class, we give you a list of them. We actually practice them for a time period during the 8-hour period. But you can get these questions and get somebody to read them to you or ask you the questions and get used to answering them. And the more you do it, then the more you'll be able to change the variations, because all the questions, even if they're not verbatim, they follow the same pattern. Tell me a time you had a problem at work and what you did to fix it and blah, 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 and through there. So then you'll start to know those answers. And even better, if you can, get one of your friends that you're not real friendly with to ask you, so it's kind of a stranger, so you're more comfortable when you get in an interview and talking to someone that you don't know. And then finally, one of the things I used to do, and I've never been turned down for a job. I've got a job offer on every job I've ever applied for. I used to go on the week that I was going to interview, I would be applying for all these different jobs I didn't even want, just so I could get interviews and I could practice interviewing, especially if it had been a while since I had interviewed. I've interviewed a lot of people for jobs, but if I was going from one job to another, I would go and interview at several different places just to get back into practice. It's a great practice, and heck, maybe in the meantime, you might even get a job offer something better than you were applying for. So practice, practice, practice. A couple things on the interview: make sure you look them in the eye. If you look down and to the left, they've been taught in every class they've been in that you're thinking of a lie. If you look up, that you're you may be trying to remember something, or you might be trying to think of how to embellish it. Look them straight in the eye. A great way to do that is find a place on their face that is close to their eyes, if you're not comfortable, if you can't do that, and kind of look at that and keep that contact. Remember, when you meet them, to give them a firm handshake. That's still a big thing in the world. And then finally, when you leave, it's important that you do a couple things. But I want to talk about pay real quick. It's not proper to talk about pay if it wasn't advertised on the job. It's not time to talk about pay till you're offered the job. So it's not proper to bring that up. The way I used to handle that, when people would ask me, I would say, if you get to the point where we're going to make a job offer, one of the things in the job offer is how much we feel like you'd be qualified to be paid for the position based on your experience. Right now, we're still kind of looking at other candidates, and we're looking in deeper into your your experience. And so this is really just not the proper time to talk about that. And then I would move on, and that's kind of how that works. So if you applied for the job not knowing the pay, then this is not the place to do that. You applied because you wanted to work there for some reason. So hang on to that and wait for the job offer. And then the next and the last piece for this short piece, like I said, there's a ton in negotiating pay that we could teach you how to do to always get more than the starting pay. But for right now, we're going to talk about follow-up. We talked about firm handshake when you start. Make sure you have a firm handshake when you leave. Always look them in the eye, thank them from the job, and make sure they're going to ask you at some point during the interview, do you have any questions? Make sure you research the company enough that you can ask some questions. I read that they got started this way. How did that happen? When I start, what will my hours are going to look like? And then never end the interview without, like I said, a good firm handshake. And the last thing should be, and now what are the next steps for us? And then they have to put in their mind that you've assumed that you've already got the job. You're just trying to find out what the next steps are before you start. Confidence is important, not overconfidence. And people also will do this. Oh, so what time do you want me to show up tomorrow? Well, that's kind of a glib comment that they've heard a million times, and they know that it's a throwaway comment. But if you ask them what are the next steps, then it shows confidence in it. But it doesn't assume that they gave you the job. It just assumes that you feel like you're confident to get it. They want confident people. They want people that can come to work, they can train them how to do the job, and then they don't have to spend a lot of time with them. They just do the work and they pay you, and then they can move forward because they're not looking to add to their workload. They're looking for you to lessen their workload. So those are some of the things. I hope you heard something in this today that will help you on your job search. If you have any questions today, let me know. You can answer them in the comments down there, and I'll answer them as they come up. And if we get too many questions, I'll answer them after the video's done. Once again, thank you so much. This is Jesus Real Life Restoration Project. We are a church that reaches out to people in real life in places that they can't or won't go into a church. Everywhere from jails and hospitals and nursing homes and other institutions to countries where it's illegal to be a Christian or have a Bible. Our job, we think, is to bring the word that Jesus loves you and he's here for you. And part of our job as Christians is to disciple you, and to disciple you in the ways of the Bible and the ways of God would take us, and even in the ways of finding another job by talking about how to be a good Christian at work. Thanks for being here today. Once again, Jesus loves you, and so do I. Have a great day.